Well, who would have thought that I'll be working on yet another Corvette? I did. Once I finished my C5, I knew it was just a moment of time before I started working on the C6. In the meantime, I started getting some other cars. You know, I started messing around with this GMC Sonoma. Then I bought a 2018 WRX, then a 2019 WRX STI. So it was just one thing after another, but finally, it's come to the point where I feel satisfied enough working on all those cars that I can start working on my C6. So what will I be doing on the C6? Well, pretty much the exact same process that I did on my C5. On the C5, the only thing that I really skipped, which I really wish that I didn't, well, actually two things, both the suspension and the interior. I think a lot of people would have gained some pretty valuable knowledge from just watching how you can take apart everything, and it's really not that complicated. Just because it has a Corvette name to it doesn't mean it's a difficult car to work on. It's probably one of the easiest cars that I have worked on. Then I was thinking, should I sell the C6, buy myself something different like a GTR? The main reason why I didn't go that route is A, it looks freaking hot, and B, I already have all the tools just ready to go. I mean, pretty much the same tools that I kind of use for my C5 are going to be interchangeable in my C6. So the process that I'm going to be starting off right now is I'm going to put the car up on jack stands, take off majority of the body work, like the hood, the bumpers, the quarter panels, the fenders. Once all that stuff's removed, and the wheels and tires, of course, I'm gonna start working on the suspension. And even though in the C5 I upgraded the suspension to go independent suspension, with the C6 for right now, it doesn't bother me enough to warrant going that route. I mean, it's lowered on stock bolts right now. Once I put my Cray Corvette wheels, I mean, that car just sits perfectly. So basically what I'm gonna be doing is just cleaning around there. In order to get to the kind of detail clean that I want, and repainting, refinishing, it's going to require for majority of the components to come off. So like, for example, the upper control arm, I mean, the spindle, the brakes, you know, calipers, rotors, that kind of stuff. Once that's complete, then I have a kind of a choice to whether I want to move on towards the interior or if I want to move towards the engine. I rather take care of the engine first, to be honest, just because the harmonic balancer is starting to wobble exactly the same as the C5, which is another reason why I decided to go ahead and actually start working on it right now. So majority of the components going to have to come out. So once they do, it's going to get to that stage where I'm going to start asking myself, should I start upgrading it any further? Should I put in that cam? Should I put in the headers while majority of the engine is already off? Should I just take it one additional step, take the heads off, replace the head gasket? We'll see. I mean, I'm still not there yet. I just kind of want to work on it one step at a time, but I definitely know that currently I'm going to be working on the suspension components, and they're going to be just spotless when I'm done with them, kind of like it is with the C5. If you guys have never seen the C5, I pretty much took the exact same process. I mean, just a brief summary. I took apart the entire suspension components. I painted everything after I cleaned them. I removed any kind of rust from anything, repainted the brake calipers, bought new rotors. Even though on the C6 I don't think I'll be replacing the rotors because they're good enough. Converted it to independent suspension, meaning I removed the leaf springs from it, made a drastic difference. Like I said, I like my rides a little bit stiffer as well. I mean, the C5 is, you know, decently stiff, but not compared to the C6. C6 is super stiff. So we'll see again which route I want to take with the car. I haven't 100% decided yet. I'm just going to kind of start working on it and basically see where we go from here. But anyways, moving on to the C5, I went towards the interior next. So I finished the entire interior, primarily because of the steering wheel and the AC controls. They were just driving me completely bananas the way they looked, and the radio itself. I mean, not only did it look, I mean, they just took the radio, the AC controls, and the steering wheel out of some GM pickup truck and slapped it into a Corvette. Just did not fit the overall personality of it. So I got rid of the stock steering wheel, which meant the airbag also went, and I replaced it with the Momo steering wheel for a little bit of extra protection. What I ended up doing was putting a 5-point harness along with the 5-point harness. Then I needed to get new seats that kind of supported the 5-point harness structure, so I went with Corbu Evolution X seats. Since I was there, I went and bought the 5-point harness from them as well. Bought a harness bar, slapped it on in the bag, everything fit perfectly. Then I moved toward the center console, where I couldn't really find something that exactly to my specifications, like the trim around the in-dash player that I was about to put in. So I decided to go ahead and make it myself, and that's basically what I did. I custom made the trim. I cut out that middle portion, the plastic, and added an additional plastic portion to the bottom. AC controls, I looked everywhere for them. There was just nothing out in the market, so I ended up relocating them into the glove box, which just made it seem so much better for me that I don't have to look at them ever. Surprisingly, the AC controls fit perfectly inside the glove box. I think the only thing that I had to clip off were just the sides where the bolts attached into them so they could be screwed into the dash. So I just clipped off that plastic and it was ready to go. To finish it off, I also didn't like the really kind of super sloppy shifter, especially because I already have the Hurst Short Shifter in my C6, so I decided to go with Hurst again. Turns out that this shifter is super stiff. I mean, it feels race car-ish. So yeah, added the Hurst Short Shifter in the C5. And the C6, I'm not gonna have to do it, like I said, since it's already in there. Another couple of upgrades that the C6 already has. It already has the Borla mufflers, which I may be upgrading the rest of the piping. We'll see again as time progresses. It's lowered on stock bolts, and I actually ended up putting the Veraram intake after I modified and put the Veraram intake in the C5. I liked it so much that I ended up going with it into the C6 as well. So now that we talked about the suspension and the interior, the engine came next, and that's where I really spent most of the time. I took apart pretty much everything down to the block, and I replaced every single gasket that you can think of, every pulley. Also replaced the timing chain while I was at it, of course the harmonic balancer, the oil pump, the water pump, thermostat. Everything was brand spanking new inside there. I mean, I wanted to be able to drive this car for a long time and actually enjoy it. And then of course I really wanted that muscle car sound, so I went with a stage 3 cam from Tick Performance. And because I went with such a large cam, it required new headers, so I went with long tube headers and the remainder of the piping. So it just kind of connected everything. I mean, it has 2 small little catalytic converters, but everything else is straight pipe. That's why it sounds like it does, like most of the people that hear it compare it to a NASCAR. So those are my plans. I want to keep doing this every single Friday up until at the very least the suspension is done. I know how good the suspension looks on the C5, and I kind of want to do the same thing on the C6. I don't know if you guys are as picky as I am. I mean, I'm the person that cleans up the wires, makes everything look neat, even though I'm gonna hide the wires anyways behind something. Even though none of those components are gonna be really seen, I still want them to look good. It's gonna put me at a peace of mind. And especially any kind of rust or anything like that, I know that it's not going to continue rusting any further. I'm going to eliminate that and paint over it so that in the future it's not going to rust ever again. Well, that's it pretty much right now. See you guys next time when I actually raise this car, put it up on jack stands, and start removing some of the components.